Hi everybody, it's Kimberly, and this is actually my first YouTube channel vlog, and I'm coming to you today with an amazing message about twin flames and soul connections and what this all means and how you can work through the separation phase of a twin flame connection that's happening here in this incarnation. So I'm sure there are hundreds of videos out there, and you're going to stumble upon teachers for you that will speak to you in this moment. And I know that I did. And the shift that happened for me was almost instantaneous. And I went from really a place of mourning a loss and grieving and not being able to get out of bed and sleep and eat and focus, and it felt like the other piece of me was missing. So I'm here to tell you that if you're going through this, that you have to validate your struggle, of course, but that you don't need to suffer, because what you're really experiencing is your own separation from yourself and from your own power. It's fairly simple once you understand it to shift back into your power, into self-love, into universal love and unconditional love and love for this person that's your twin. So I'm not going to get into what twin flames are, because if you're stumbling upon this, you've probably watched other segments that clarify exactly what that is, exactly what that connection is. For me, I do want to talk about my experience, because I'm hoping that it will help some of you out there. But me and my twin came together, and there was a lot of stuff coming up immediately, and it was like instant attraction and like this gravitational pull to this person, and we both felt it, and there was an amazing connection, but it was also a lot of friction and push pull and me running away and closing the door and opening the door, and stuff coming up and wounds being triggered, and this was a habitual pattern for a number of months. And so I ran and I pushed away, and we were in a separation phase, and I thought I would just move on. And I became very aware within a matter of days and weeks of this feeling of loss, and I started to get information filtering in, as you will in a twin connection, channeling signs of that were evidence of the connection and this seeming loss. And I knew he was still very connected to me, and that we were still very connected in spirit, but we weren't physically together, and we were not still playing out our relationship. And when I circled back to him, he had reignited a situation or a love from the past, and it happened very quickly. This person came in, boop, and whether they were there and there was betrayal before, I'm not, that it doesn't matter. When you're going through something where you're in the triangle, you don't have to struggle so hard to figure out what happened sequentially, or what the betrayal was, or ooh, he did this, or I can't forgive him for that. It's if it's truly your twin, you have to rise up above it, because your twin is bringing all of your stuff up so that you can look at yourself and so that you can heal yourself. And especially if you're going through a separation phase, this is your time to do that. So back to that situation. So concurrently, I was reaffirming the fact that I wanted to be with this man, and he was coupling back up with somebody else. And so what I need to tell you is that we are still separated, in that this relationship with he and this other person is playing out, and it hurts. Of course, the greatest pain is, watching someone that you love someone else. But you have to understand that there's also a soulmate connection between them and some sort of a soul contract, and that there are lessons that he needs to learn, and things that will come from how this relationship plays out for him that are valuable lessons that and growth probably that he needs to go through before he could come back and be with me, so that we can be one again. And this overwhelming relief has come to me in the past few days, because I stumbled upon teachers online, through YouTube, through a variety, watching. This huge shift came, and identifying that this is a twin flame relationship. And you don't need to second guess it. Once you know it is, you trust. And so what this all means for me is, beyond the feeling, betrayed and hurt, and how can I get him back, and longing, there was a huge piece of me that for weeks was just longing for him physically. And I know that there's still love there. I think that we've chosen to have limited communication right now, but even through the limited communication, it's apparent that the love is growing, even in the distance. Not really physical distance, but in the not seeing each other, and the not playing out the relationship, and the not talking every day. And the reason why it's growing is because of all of this. We are learning again learning for the first time how to love unconditionally. That means not expecting anything in return, and not being attached to an outcome. So I believe that we'll be together again, that we'll be reunited. I am grateful for this, because once you can get back, it's like a slip. It's like this little adjustment, and you get back into your own power. You'll know why the separation came about, and what is going on within you that needs to heal before you can come back together again. So for me, I just want to talk about my experience, because I think there are a lot of generic videos, but to hear about someone else's experience is the way that we learn and grow, and maybe there's something I'll say that you will relate to. But for me, it's noticing the patterns. I had patterns that were surfacing with him, and they were years and lifetimes of toxic behavior, repeating patterns that don't serve me, that aren't reflective of unconditional love, but not for myself or for the universe. And this relationship is serving to bring everything up so that I can heal those things and look at them. And for me, some of those things that have repeated throughout time, that I've healed pieces of with different soulmates that I've been in relationships with, maybe, one piece at a time, but not fully. And certainly these things are coming up for you also so that you can heal them and come back together with your twin and be one again. And so, to be more specific and share with you some of my things, some of mine come from my childhood, from childhood wounds. Some come in my upbringing. Some come from my teenage years, and other things are just carried through lifetimes, and really being that old soul and having these things filter in to this lifetime. So the key for me was I sat down and actually drew myself a map. There's no greater way to look at yourself than to, I drew sort of like a timeline. What are my patterns? What have been my relationship issues? What is surfacing in this twin flame connection that is very apparent that I need to work on? And for me, it was repeating relationships where there was betrayal, or cheating or lying, or where there's another woman that comes in, a codependency. So someone leaving, fear of abandonment, and someone leaving and needing to latch on. No, come back, don't leave me, come back, I need you. And not being reflective of me not being whole, and that and not being in my power, because you give your power to somebody else when you're needing that. And if you're truly in your power, you won't need that other person to feel complete. So betrayal, the lies, the other woman coming in, not staying in my power, giving my power away, pushing away because of fear of abandonment. And I traced each of these things back to where I think that they started in this lifetime with me. And I did the same exercise for my twin, and without any judgment. And the interesting thing is, when I held his map against mine, it was like a lot of the things mirrored one another, but also a lot were just polar opposites, just complete behavioral polarities, which makes sense. And there's also, obviously, we're balancing the masculine and feminine, energies here. And there's also this consciousness and this awareness of that I have been really, attached to not just ego, but this male energy that hasn't allowed me to fully integrate with other male energy, because I'm suppressed some of my female energy. And then thinking of, where did that begin and why did that begin? And so this is all part of my process now to heal. And the awareness is such a big piece of it. So be proud of yourself if you're acknowledging some of these things within yourself so that you can heal them. Another thing in the twin relationship is that you might feel the lifetimes of lives that you've lived with this person. And certainly it was that way and is that way for myself and my twin. He certainly feels it too, in a very powerful way, almost that we can imagine where we came from in past lives. So for me, in recent days, I've dug back a little bit, and done a little a little bit touched upon some past life regression, and you know, the messages and the visions that I received were very powerful. They were able to shed light on, I was actually surprised. I thought I would go in and find, you know, I didn't delve as deep as I can, and I'm sure I will go deeper in the next upcoming weeks as I explore this. But I thought I would find dramatic happenings and trauma, and I didn't. I found, for me, I found a woman from the 1500s, this body that I was in, and she was very powerful, but in a very all-knowing, all-loving way. And there were dynamics around her and her life that I saw that also helped shed light on this twin soul union that I'm experiencing right now. And so it was a good reminder as I go back to some of the things that need to be healed right now. It was a great reminder to, you know, to heal, because some of the things that I've been playing out, the wounds and the behaviors, have been because I've been out of my power. And some of the things that aren't working in my life are because I can't, I know I'm powerful manifester, powerful person, but I don't stay in my power. And I, you know, and it's because of the wounds and whatever, it's, you know, it's insecurities, it's self-confidence, it's wounds, it's all these things that need healing within me to become that person again, who I am, who that is me. And so that is my work to do. And it may take months, it may take years, but it's helping me make this video for you. And it's also, there's also been an awakening in my career, as this might happen for you also, being in the twin relationship, is you're being called to unconditional love, and you may enter into a more creative phase of your career or into more creative projects, or you may enter into the healing arts. And for me, like, I've been channeling crazy stuff in this process, and I thought it was because I was so deep in the hurt, I was just so open, but I think it's more than that. It's just a really beautiful, like, eternal connection that's opening me up and hopefully opening my counterpart up to a beautiful new way of loving each other and loving ourselves and loving the universe. And that type of love will elevate consciousness, and it's just a really beautiful thing. So in the time apart, what do? You know, I'm still working that out, but for me, it's doing the work on myself. It's, you know, refocusing my career, and I feel a big shift coming, and this all may be a part of it. So once you can get back into your power and let them be and let things breathe without pulling or needing or wanting or chasing or putting demands or having expectations on what the outcome will be with this person, you just have to trust that there is a great love there, and that they know, whether you're in communication or not, whether it's being reciprocated on the material 3D plane right now or not, you can feel what's happening on a spiritual level, and that's really all you need to know. And while you know that, send them love and light during a separation. And you keep building your life and you keep moving forward. And believe me, like 2 weeks ago, I was a mess. So to make this transformation so quickly, so can you. And it's just, understanding it and making peace with it and being okay, like, holding space for the person and not slamming the door shut and not, that was one of the hardest things for me, because when I feel like I'm abandoned, it's very difficult for me to not do that, to not want to cut. And you really can't cut the cords in these types of connections because they transcend, space, time, 3D world, physical plane. So this person is in your life, and this is going to play out. And so you have to allow it to, and do what you need to do in the meantime so that you can come back together and be one and have that harmonious union that you feel like exists there. So I hope this has helped. As I progress along my journey, I'm going to be YouTubing more segments. So thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Bye.